Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. Today we have a very cool review because today is a day that we review a brand new company that is new to my channel. Overall, they are not a new company. They've actually been out for quite a while, but as far as being reviewed here on Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, they are, in fact, a new company, and this is by Summit Collection Gifts, which is a really cool company that produces a large amount of dinosaur figures and actually a ton of really cool dragon figures as well. And I've kind of seen them on eBay from time to time for a little while now, and I've always wanted to get a hold of some and take a look at them and add them to my collection. Well, I now have quite a few of their releases here to take a look at, so we are starting with one of the figures that I figured you guys would probably be most interested in, and that is the Tyrannosaurus Rex. And it is always fun to review a new Tyrannosaurus being added to my collection, and this one definitely looks extremely cool here at first glance, so let's go ahead and get a closer look at it right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Tyrannosaurus, you can see that it actually includes quite a bit of really nice sculpt work as far as like the scales and everything go. Up here on the upper part of the head we have some really nice scaling all over the dinosaur, really large sort of scaling. We also have kind of like some scoots that run up around the eye area, as well as some really nicely done detail there in the eye. You can see the eye is kind of painted with like a greenish color and a nice large black pupil. You can also probably take note to the fact that that eye is shining quite nicely. It does have a gloss coat on there for that extra added bit of realism. And you can also see that the actual paintwork here of the head of the Tyrannosaurus is definitely nicely done. There are quite a few variations of like lighter and darker greens, as well as kind of like some red that's been dry brushed over a few different areas, even down here onto the lower jaw. And you can also see a few little osteoderms that are picking up right there on the lower jaw, as well as again some really nice scale work down here. You can also see a nice little like patch of kind of hanging skin there in the throat. That's actually really cool. You don't see that kind of look appearing on Tyrannosaurus very often, and I actually do like that. I think that looks really neat and is kind of different than most figures as far as Tyrannosaurs go. So nice little addition right there. You can see the teeth are sculpted out here in the mouth. I think the paint might be a little too thick, or at least it kind of looks like it here on camera, but in person they actually don't look bad at all. But you can definitely see that there is a little bit of the thickness to the paint there in the teeth area, but again, the teeth themselves are sculpted quite nicely and they do look pretty cool overall. You can also see the tongue sculpted out in there, nice textured appearance to that tongue. If we look inside the mouth, you can also see some detail there on the upper side of the mouth right there. That looks nice as well. Nice realistic tone of color, I think, for in here as well. Really nicely done as far as the choices of color here. And you can also see some decent sculpt and detail here as far as the texturing of that kind of skin flap there on the side of the mouth. So I really do quite like the appearance of this Rex. It's definitely something that's quite different than most. You have some nice detailing up here on the top of the head as well. And right here on the very top of the head, you have kind of like a nice light wash that's been added to a few different places, and I do like that. I think it gives some nice realism to the figure as far as like kind of including different tones of color and different skin tone. As we start to move down the neck, you can continue to see a good bit of scaling going. You can also see kind of like just the structure of the animal in general is really nicely displayed in the sculpt. You can also kind of see some tensing in the neck going on because the Tyrannosaur is kind of leaning up, letting out a nice little roar right there, and you can really see that kind of displayed here in the neck region of the Tyrannosaurus. You can also see that it does have some ridges that run down along the neck and then down into the back. It takes like a little brief break right there in that little area, but then picks right back up and continues those ridges to pretty much run the entire length of the Tyrannosaurus. You can also pick up here on the shoulder blade protruding from the skin. Nice short Tyrannosaurus arms like you would expect to see. The nails are painted there, and this is actually a really cool figure overall. It's like a resin and a very hefty feel to it. It is quite heavy and has a very high quality feel to it, which is really nice as well. As you move back into the body, you can continue to see that really nice scaling, some of the skin kind of reacting to this leg pushing into the body right there. And I feel like the tones of color they've used on this are very realistic and really nicely done, pretty much exactly the type of color I could expect to see a Tyrannosaurus being in real life. They've also kind of like dry brushed some areas with a little bit of a lighter coloration to bring the detail out quite nicely. As we come back here into the hip region, you can pick out the hip bone there, but also some really nicely defined muscle tone in the thigh and actually the calf. Nice bulging calf muscle there. As we move down into the foot. The foot sculpt also looks really quite nice. You have some nicely sculpted out nails, nicely painted as well. Beautiful scoot-like appearance down the toes. And then we move back up here into the tail. You can kind of see like the skin stretching off of the tail as this leg is pulling forward, stretching that skin. And then we move back into the tail here. Again, some really nice scale work included in the sculpt, and you have like a nice striping effect with like a dark black or like a very dark gray. You can also see again some hints of like red showing up here and there in the paint of the Tyrannosaurus, and it looks really cool. I love the ridges that run along the back of the Tyrannosaur. It looks really nice, and all the paint is beautifully applied as far as looking very realistic. It is definitely very realistically applied. Looking up here at the head sculpt, again on this side, you can see more of that like reddish dry brushing that they've done over certain areas, and I think it looks really, really neat on the figure. The eye is painted nicely over here on this side. Again, you can see the nostril sculpted out right there. Nice detailing there in the palette of the Tyrannosaur, and they have darkened the area around the eye to kind of elaborate that eye area with a nice blackish coloration. As we continue to move back into the neck, you can kind of see like the skin scrunching and bunching up right here due to the positioning of the head of the Tyrannosaurus, and also again that tensing of the neck as it's letting out that roar. You can pick up on the shoulder blade. Again on this side, nice small Rex arms and hands. Again, the nails are painted right there. You can see some more really nice detailing as we move up into the body. Really beautiful sculpt work as far as the scales. Again, some skin folding and everything going on. Nice skin detail down here, and kind of bunching that skin up, but also stretching it a little bit as this leg is almost sort of pulling back, but not too far. It's not over elaborated or anything, so it does look quite realistic. Once again, you can pick up a little bit on the hip bone right there. Really nice muscle tone as we move down the thigh, and you can see so much color variation, like nice darker areas that they've kind of highlighted with a darker black or a dark green, and then the nice lighter green, and even some nice dry brushing that's been done to bring all that detail out quite wonderfully. Really nice calf muscles again, sort of like a scoot-like appearance down from the kneecap all the way down here into the feet. Look at that really beautiful Rex foot. That is very nicely done. And then again up here into the tail, we have some more really nice scale work, some nice kind of stripes that run the length of the tail, as well as some reddish tones showing up here and there as we move out the length of the tail, which the tail has a really nice curve to it. I love that curve. There is also a base. The Rex is on the base and does not come off. You can see it's just kind of like a nice rocky terrain with a brownish coloration, almost like a desert type of a look with a few rocks here and there, and everything is painted really nicely. It overall has a very beautiful appearance to both the base and the dinosaur itself, and you can see that here as I turn the base. It's really nicely sculpted and really nicely painted as well. The underside also sports some like a nice soft fabric here on the underside to make sure that it doesn't damage anything that it's on, and also does not slip or move around on you. So this Rex is really, really cool. It's again the first figure here I've looked at from this Summit Collection box I just got, and I actually quite like this a lot. As far as a size goes on our Rex, and it does have some decent size to it, for a length you're looking at just shy of 12 inches, just shy of a foot long, or about 30 centimeters in length, and for a height to the tip of the snout, you are looking at about 6 inches or around 15 centimeters, and then to the top of the tail, pretty much right there in that same range, around the 6 inch, maybe a little bit lower, or about 15 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon next to our Summit Collection Tyrannosaurus, and you can see next to these figures that, again, the Rex definitely has some good size to it. It's sizing up actually quite nicely to the Papo Rex, and almost looks like it's about to bite off the Papo Rex's face right there as he looks a little bit angry, which could be potentially some kind of really cool display options that you could have with this Rex if you can find a dinosaur that kind of fits that perfect size right there where he's coming up for a bite. Could be a really cool sort of a fight going on, a fight scene you could create when you display it, but definitely having a pretty good idea here next to these figures of the size. It does sport some pretty good size overall. So this Summit Collection Tyrannosaurus Rex is a really cool figure. Being made of resin, it's very high quality, or at least it feels like a resin to me. It's very high quality, really, really well made. It's nice and heavy too, so there are no issues as far as it balancing out or falling over or anything like that. It would probably take an earthquake to knock this over. It is that stable, especially having that really nice base down there to stand on, really completing the overall scene here with the Rex, but also helping it to balance out quite nicely, and the weight added on just really makes sure that it stays up quite nice and stable. Again, the sculpt is really nice, and maybe not the most accurate interpretation of a Tyrannosaurus Rex. We can definitely see that here, but I think it's a really cool look for the Tyrannosaurus Rex, and definitely a very appealing appearance to it, if you ask me. Very nicely sculpted with lots of really fine detail all over the figure. Beautiful scale work the whole way through. Really nice pose on the Rex as well, with a beautiful majestic like curve to the tail, like it's leaning down a little bit, but then at the same time kind of leaning up or lunging up to take a bite of something. So it has a really cool kind of an action pose to it, or maybe it's just standing up on a ledge, letting out a nice very strong roar so everyone knows that he is the king of the dinosaurs. Regardless, it really looks nice overall as far as the pose goes and the minute detailing. The paintwork as well is really beautiful. I actually am very impressed with the paint on this Rex overall. It has many different tones of color to it, really nice darker and lighter greens, as well as some areas that have kind of like blacks, and then there are areas that have like some reddish colors, some reddish tints popping through, nice red kind of up on the face and dry brushed over in certain areas. The paintwork on the Rex is definitely very nicely done, very naturally applied. It all generally looks like body color on the dinosaur and not just paint on a figure or anything. The eyes are actually also nicely painted and have a nice gloss coat to add that extra bit of realism to the figure. So if you would like to pick this up, I definitely recommend it. It is a really cool figure, and I am extremely excited now to have a different company added to the long list of many companies I have reviewed here on the channel. Definitely a really cool Rex overall, and I am quite excited to get to some of these other Summit Collection figures I have to review. So again, if you would like to pick this up, I will include a link in the description to where you can do just that on the Summit Collection website. So make sure you head over there, buy yourself this really cool Summit Collection Tyrannosaurus Rex, but also make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.